Hi there. Thank you for tuning in and for sending your questions. I'm Dr. Clelia Lima, nurse practitioner with a passion for wellness. And today, our topic, I have, received a lot of questions about intermittent fasting and the impact on your cholesterol. So, some of the things we're going to talk about today are kind of related to our topic from last week, so we're going to build up a little bit on the things that we already discussed. So I'm very excited to talk about it because this is something very dear to my heart. So the first question that I got was like, okay, we're going to talk about cholesterol, intermittent fasting. What is cholesterol? And I got a definition from the American Heart Association. It defines cholesterol as a waxy substance. And then they say it's not inherent bad. Our body needs cholesterol to build cells and to process vitamins and hormones. So we talk about cholesterol being, detrimental for your heart and all the cardiovascular disease. But actually, we're talking about the excess of cholesterol, the high levels of cholesterol, because, basically we need cholesterol in our bodies. But we're going to discuss about the good and the bad and how they balance. So basically, our liver produces the cholesterol, most of the cholesterol that we need. Some of the polyunsaturated fats is not processed by the liver, and we need to ingest in our diet. But it's important to know that we have the fat, the healthy fat, and the unhealthy fat. So, what are the good fats? Basically, we're talking about the unsaturated fats, which is pretty much the monounsaturated and the polyunsaturated fats. And the foods that you can find most of those good fats are the good oils. For instance, avocado is one of the best. Olives, they are very good fats that we can find. Most of the seeds and most of the nuts, they have good fat that we need for our body. um, in the past, it was a lot of backslash for fat and the heart disease, and this is already debunked for many years. So the low-fat diet, pretty much we should say the healthy diet balanced, because the the fats from animals like meat and beef, chicken, fish, and dairy, all kinds of eggs and cheese and all of that. Those are fat that we have to be careful how to balance them, because some of them are saturated. But our body can balance well if you have the whole diet well. Um, you can choose the things that you are that that is good for your nutrients. So and that's another thing that's very interesting, because some people in the past especially talk about, oh, to count your calories, you have to make sure that how many calories you spending, and how many calories you eating. So nowadays we're not very concerned with the calories. We're concerned about the quality of the calories that we are putting inside our bodies. For instance, if you eat a piece of cake, let's say a small 100 calories, it's not the same as eating 100 calories from a piece of salmon. So it's the same amount of calories, but what this healthy calorie is going to do for your body in terms of nutrients and good fats, and the other piece of cake that is going to be just spiking your insulin and pretty much empty calories. This is a very different process in your body. So we are not concerned with calories. We're just talking about good choices, how you can balance your cholesterol making good choices for your diet. And then we're going to talk about intermittent fasting that is going to build up on that as well. So the worst is the trans fat, foods. The trans fat is really um, uh, the way it impacts your body. It will help, to increase your risk of cardiac disease and the buildup of plaques in your arteries. So all of that has to do with the cholesterol and how it's processed. So if your cholesterol, is not well controlled, and you even don't know how much your numbers are, that can be a big problem, because it's very slowly. You're not going to have a high cholesterol and have a heart attack tomorrow. Most likely it's going to build up, along some years. So that's why it's important to be proactive and know your numbers and know how to take care of your body. So what is the good and what is the bad cholesterol, right? So the LDL is the lipoprotein that has a low density. So it's a low density lipoprotein, LDL. That's the bad cholesterol. The HDL, which is the high density lipoprotein, is the good cholesterol. And the triglycerides is pretty much the kind of lipoprotein that is circulating in your body, and taking all the good fats, for processing your cells. So usually when you have the high triglycerides, it's because you're having excess of of um, the excess of bad fats that you are ingesting in your diet. Uh, Alcohol is a big influencer as well. So that's something to be watching for. So when your LDL is above 100, some labs may have different parameters, but most of the time we those numbers are pretty much around that time, those levels. So the LDL, the bad cholesterol, below 100, you're good. But then you have to make sure that your HDL, which is the good cholesterol, is above 40, and some labs above 60, to make sure that you have a good balance. And your triglycerides below 150. So you want to make sure those numbers are well balanced. If you have a low HDL, which is the good cholesterol, and the high triglycerides, that's a very bad combination. And we're going to talk, in another series about the metabolic syndrome, cardiac disease. So we need the good, fat in our bodies. We need the good cholesterol to be well balanced, to diminish the risk of cardiac disease. Basically, we're talking about, the LDL, the low density lipoprotein. When it's in excess in your bloodstream, your vessels start with buildup around it. So the blood is trying to go through, and then the buildup is making this lumen smaller and smaller. So what happened? One day, one of those plaques may break off from the vessel, and then it may go to your brain. You may have a stroke, and it goes, to your heart. You have a heart attack. So when you have those plaques going in the wrong direction, the consequences could be very serious, even death. So the necrosis of your cells, if it's in your brain, all your processes, the whole neurological function, you will affect it very significantly. And the same thing in your heart. You need all your muscles to pump your blood and to maintain life. So we don't want, to be in a situation that would happen. The good news is, when you change your lifestyle, and we're going to talk about how intermittent fasting could play a role in this, it can be reversible. That's the best news about it. And if you smoke, that's one of the high risk as well. I would suggest that you seek help and to stop smoking as well, because that's one of the um, high risk for cardiac disease. So one of the research that I was reading, they talk about the three C's, the three C's of the cholesterol. First, check your numbers, check your cholesterol, because most of the time you don't have symptoms. So it's important that you, if you're an adult, especially if you have other comorbidities, it's very important to control your cholesterol. And the way to know is to do a blood work. The second C is change your diet or lifestyle. And when I say change, that's a word that nobody likes to hear. Nobody wants to change anything. The status quo is the most comfortable one. That's how I do it. And many years, I don't want to change anything. But when you see the results, you're gonna get excited about, some of the changes, because you're gonna have more energy, you're gonna have more focus, you're gonna, you know, sleep better, and so many other benefits that you're gonna say, well, why not? And they always suggest that you make small changes little by little. Don't try to change everything at one time. If you start doing exercise, start little by little. If you start changing, for more healthy choices on your diet, change little by little too. Because I don't want anybody to be so miserable because now I'm not eating the things I like to eat. Just, little by little, go making good choices in exchange for bad ones. The third C is to control the cholesterol. So they're all, connected. You're gonna check, you're gonna change your lifestyle, and you're gonna control. And it's so much easier when you already, got to the good levels and you just have to maintain, than when you're doing all the effort to actually revert, high numbers on your cholesterol. So how intermittent fasting, play a role on your cholesterol? First of all, I want to remind you, we have said that before, intermittent fasting is not for everybody. Some people should not do intermittent fasting at all. And if you have comorbidities, take medication, especially if you're diabetic and you take insulin, things like that. It's very important that you do intermittent fasting with healthcare professional advice and follow up very closely. So most people can do intermittent fasting. And when we say intermittent fasting, it's a broad term for many different ways to do it. And besides the restricted time eating, we also have the long fasting. And I'm not going to get into the long fasting, in this series, but it's possible to do. I personally don't promote that unless you really need to lose like 50 pounds, 100 pounds. So that would be a way to do it. But just for control of cholesterol, sugar, blood pressure, or whatever else that we have, um, been dealing with, I don't think it's necessary, the long fasting. But it is possible to do it, and it's better to do with medical professional advice. And it's very exciting because um, the intermittent fasting, you should not feel hungry, and usually you don't. When people have side effects, let's say, to intermittent fasting, it's not actually the intermittent fasting that is causing any kind of symptom. Like some people have headaches, some people feel weak, dizzy. Actually, the side effect is from the addiction to sugar. So when you have addiction to sugar, your it looks like that you have headaches or whatever the symptom because you're not eating, but actually it's because you are having withdrawals from sugar. And it's not only a spoon of sugar or a piece of cake. We're talking about carbohydrates. All the pastas and breads and refined um, um, flour that could cause you to have withdrawals. So that's why we recommend that before starting the intermittent fasting, for you to abstain from sugars, because that's going to help you to prepare your body to accept the longer period without eating. So again, the intermittent fasting is a broad, term for many different things. And the most common one, the most popular, is the 8-hour window for eating, the 16-hour window for fasting. And most people find that skipping breakfast is easier than skipping lunch or dinner. So if you skip breakfast and you just eat lunch and dinner within 8 hours, and then you sleep, that will be 16 hours. But remember, you can choose the window. That is not like it has to be from this time to this time. Whatever fits your lifestyle, whatever for you, and socially, it sometimes we see people do intermittent fasting, socializing. And remember, it's if you do 5 days a week, you're already in the gaining benefit. In 2 days that you may not do it, it's not going to be it's not going to defeat your efforts for the 5 days. So consistency most of the time, that will give you good results. So how the intermittent fasting will benefit your cholesterol, right? Remember we talked about the spike of insulin when you eat. That's the whole process of holding the excess calories. So the excess of foods that you're eating is spiking the insulin. When you do the fasting, your insulin level is going to be low. The insulin levels being low, you're not storing more fat. It's the other way around. Actually, you're tapping into the different source of energy, which is from the fatty cells. Remember, we talked about that last week. So you're getting the energy from the fatty cells, which the cholesterol, is part of, being stored in your fat cells. You already drawing energy from fat, and that will help you to control your cholesterol as well. So it's really fascinating to see how many different ways you can have health benefit from intermittent fasting. And it's very simple, but at the same time, it's not straightforward. It doesn't mean that everybody that does intermittent fasting is going to have, control of cholesterol without medication. Most people will have, even to the point that regenerating cells. But studies are a little bit conflicting because some have more benefit on the HDL, some more on the LDL, triglycerides, some of them the combination. So we still doing more and more research in larger population to draw final conclusions, but we have enough evidence to see benefit. So it's not a guarantee. You do intermittent fasting, you're going to control your cholesterol. But the other thing that some of the research I was reading about this is that the people doing intermittent fasting usually are people that are doing good choices. They're doing exercise. They're not smoking. Um, they choose better quality of food. So sometimes that's how it's difficult to draw final conclusion, because the kind of people that is willing to go the extra mile to take care of their health, they do other things that are in benefit for your health, including good rest, sleep, and all of that. So it's really very encouraging to see how much we can benefit from intermittent fasting and giving the rest for our bodies to regenerate, to get ready for the next day, and all the things that you have to accomplish in your day. So it goes back to the insulin response in your body, and how you're going to maintain your insulin levels in the healthy levels so you don't get insulin resistant. And remember that usually people don't have just high cholesterol. They have high cholesterol, high blood pressure, high sugar, maybe diabetes. So and obesity, they all go hand in hand. And once you disrupt that negative cycle, most likely you're going to be able to get into the positive cycle. You benefit, your weight control, and then you benefit your cholesterol, you benefit your sugar and your blood pressure, and other hormonal changes may occur out to your benefit as well. So it's really up to you what you want to do. If you want to start small, you can start a 12-hour fasting just overnight, and then you go increasing your window of fasting and decreasing the window of eating opportunity, and making good choices. And remember that all the high sugary foods and the processed foods are the worst. So if you start, little by little, exchange those for better choices, you are ahead of the game. And there is no age limit for you to start. I'm not talking about children. I'm talking about, older people. Like, I'm already, 50 years old. I don't have any hope that I'm going to get any better. You're always going to get benefit. Doesn't matter if the older you are, you can always, revert and gain some good health. So that's it for today. You can continue to send your questions. We're going to include them next week. And I see you next Tuesday for another Q&A. Please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and share with your friends, okay? Keep moving towards your best self. Be healthy and feel well.